So let's pick up where we left off with the diffusion lab. And in this video, I'm going to start the process of augmenting it into an ants simulation. So the ants are going to use pheromone and leave chemicals all over when they find their food. So for example, we're going to have 3 places of food, one home that the ants start in, and they're going to be wandering around the world, and when they find food, they're going to leave pheromone, the chemicals, which are going to diffuse like we saw before. And so a couple different things we have to do. We have to create agents that can be circles and hold food, so that to be different sizes. And we have to make these ants that are wandering around the world. Okay, so let's go back to our code. A few things we need to fix up from last time. There were some typos I made, and to get things running, we need it to be from agents. That's what I called my file over here. That was one thing I had a typo in. And here I had lower bound instead of lower bound. So 2 small things if you're following along to correct in the diffusion model. The other things that you would want to correct back in the server, these are a bit more logical and serious errors I made, that when I say I want the minimum of value and upper, that's going to make sure that the value is less than upper, and this the maximum of value and lower. I had these 2 swapped for upper and lower. Okay, last thing that I forgot to do was to return the portrayal dictionary. I had done all this work to figure out what my dictionary should be, and then I forgot to return it. So nothing was getting shown to the screen, but those should fix our errors. Let's start off by adding a new agent. We have our environment to hold the pheromone. Let's make places to hold the food and to be our home spot. So down here, we're going to start defining some new agents. So class home is an agent, and the home agent is going to have an initializing function here, the constructor. Now I was saying before that the position was getting used in 2 different ways. It was the position, but it was also this unique ID. Now, because we are going to be having these in the same place as our environment cells, we want to give them a different ID. So we're going to bring in an ID. They also need a position and the model. The first thing we have to do is talk to the super, and we have to say, go run your init, unique ID, and the model. That gets passed into what the agent needs. The agent always needs something unique to keep track of them. Okay. We have a position that's helpful for us to remember, and an amount that we're going to have. So our home is going to be where the ants start and where they're going to go back when they have food. They're trying to bring the food home. And so the only thing people really need to do, these ants out there, only thing they need to do is to add food that they collect to the home's amount of food. Okay, second thing, let's make a food spot. And it's going to be very similar to our home. We are going to define our init, unique ID. We don't really need the position of these food pieces. It's not going to be something that's important to us. We need to know the position for home because we want to go home. But for the food, we just need to know that we found it, and we can ignore the position. So let's do the super init unique ID and the model, and then give them an amount of food. So we can add food, like we just did above. And we can eat some food. And so if I happen to have any food, then I am going to decrement my amount by 1. And one more thing down here. Any food? Do I have any food? Return if the self.amount is greater than or equal, greater than 0. Do I have any integers here? Yes, then I have any food, which is helpful to know if I can eat. When an ant wanders by, it's going to say, hey, can I go eat from this food? Go try. If I can, then I will have an amount go down by 1. Okay, so I have 2 new agents. I need to be adding them into my model. So before we had our time and space, and we added grid people, those environment pieces. Let's go add some more pieces here. So what I would like to do is go create a location. We're going to put the home in the middle of the screen. And we're going to create another tuple list here for a couple places for food. And these pieces of food are going to be at certain coordinates on the screen just to give us a nice disbursement. I'm abstracting this so I can come in and test and change this later. So here's where home is, 3 food locations. So let's remember the home in the model. It's going to be nice and important. And the cool thing is, because we are a model has a way to iterate through IDs. So to make a home, we need a unique ID and a position and a self. So we need to go add it to time and space now. Self.grid, place the agent at the home location, and we need to add it to time. Schedule, add self.home. Okay, that takes care of putting a home location in the grid. And now we need to do it for the food locations. So we're going to say for some location in food lokes. Let's go make a food object. Self.nextID again. Add in the model. Add it to space and time. At the location. Self.schedule the food. And then, hey food, give yourself 100 pieces of food. Great. So that sets things up in our agents and our model. And in the next piece, I will add it to the screen so we can visualize these pieces of our model. This is going to be happening in the server. The server is how we show things on the screen.